So straight off rip, this show right here is a sitcom. You know what I mean? If you don't like sitcoms, then this show is not for you. It's not gonna be the show that makes you like sitcoms or this and that, or it's gonna change your life. Or no, it's none of that. You know what I mean? On the basis of it, it's a sitcom. But in the basis of all shitty sitcoms, it's a good sitcom. I would think that it's a really good sitcom. I really enjoyed just the entirety of it. You know what I mean? All 9 seasons. There's not a single season that I could go back and be like, wow, this season really fucking sucked, or wow, this season was this or that. I'll say this: none of them are like super memorable. You know what I mean? None of them like stick out to me like, oh, season 3 was the best season because of this or because of that. You know, I consider them by storylines, which say could be by season, but that's beyond the point. You know what I mean? Like they do a really good job of just like continuing the story and just keeping it together. And as well, overall, yes, it is worth watching. If you enjoy sitcoms and you enjoy like that type of TV, or just want to just a good show, a good laugh, you know what I mean, to distract you, this show really is a good show, and I think that it's definitely worth watching. But into more detailed views, like I love doing, I really enjoy the way they play the characters out to be, because it's like a group of characters, a group of friends just chilling in New York, and like How I Met Your Mother, of this like hopeless romantic going out into New York and trying to find the love of his life. That's crazy to me. That's just such a, I mean, at least to me, you know what I mean. I'm a really big sentimental guy, blah blah blah. And so to me, like I really enjoy that, and it's a matter of me enjoying that because it's like a matter of like you get to see all the heartbreak, all the sadness, all the bad, but you also get to see all the good, all the happiness and everything. You know what I mean? Because the main character, Ted Mosby, he does so much. You know what I mean? Like he is a hopeless romantic in like the biggest way possible. Does that make any sense? Like he does so much for the women that he thinks will be the next one he loves or this and that, blah blah blah. Like he does so much, and it's not a matter of like, oh, he's doing too much, because I'm gonna be honest, he do sometimes he do be doing too much. But in that same sense of he be doing too much, it's a matter of like, in him doing too much or him doing perfectly enough or him being the perfect guy for the perfect girl. It's also a matter of like, hey, they have to be perfect for you as well. You know what I mean? You can't just be the perfect guy and expect everything to work out perfectly. No, I mean sometimes they fuck up, or sometimes they're the idiots and this and that, and they display that really well in terms of like he does everything in his power to keep the person he loves, and he tries to do this and that, blah blah blah, and his friends are there to help him. You know what I mean? Like they support him, they make fun of him, they do everything that friends would do to be there for him in terms of like hey man, like she's really good for you, or hey man, she's really bad for you, or like hey, you know what? As long as you're happy, my guy. And to me, that's a great thing. That's a great show of like friendship. You know what I mean? Where hey, we personally don't like her, but go ahead. Or hey, we personally like we're okay with her, but this and that, blah blah blah. And I really love that. And I also really enjoy the dynamic they have between like, one second, my cat's being bad. And I also really enjoy the dynamic that they have like within each other, because like, for example, like Marshall and Lily, they're set out to be the perfect couple, the perfect like the perfect two people that are just meant to be together for all time and eternity. You know what I mean? And they play that out to be so well, because like even though they're perfect couple, this and that, they have a lot of flaws with each other. You know what I mean? And by what I mean by a lot of flaws with each other is they still have fights. You know what I mean? They still have fights, arguments. They still like this and that. They still like yell at each other or this and that. You know what I mean? And it's like a matter of like that's what couples do. You know what I mean? Couples aren't just completely happy all the time, or they're not just about sex all the time, or they're not just completely this and that. You know what I mean? These two people, yeah, they have their moments where they're just so happy, where they're giving everybody advice or this or that. But there's also moments where they grow with each other. You know what I mean? Where like there's this one episode, it's spoilers, but it's way into season, so it's not that big. But there's just one episode where what's it called? Where Marshall, he is told that he is a reacher, aka meaning he goes and he picks someone that's way out of his league, and she settled for him. You know what I mean? And so he does his best to like, oh what? No, I'm not a reacher, this and that. Obviously defending himself because that's just what happens. And he goes a little too far. He goes a little too far, and you realize that even if he is or that or whatever, at the end of the day, he's happy with who he has, not because he reached for her, but because he was able to get her, and she's not the same thing or whatever. But it's very sentimental, very sweet, and I don't want to get too into spoilers way into the future, but like they're so cute, they're very adorable, and like I said, I they play an amazing part in the show of hey, this is what a real couple should be like. Barney, I think Barney also plays this part perfectly, where he's like, oh, what every single guy wants, he wants to go out, bang, like, fuck bitches, get money, all this and that, blah, blah. And as well, they play his part out to be really fucking well, we're like, is he really happy? Is he sad? This and that. And he's the guy, helping out Ted, get a girl. But I mean, he's not giving Ted the kind of hope that Ted wants, if that makes sense. Because Ted wants to find the love of his life. He's not out there just fucking bitches, blah blah blah. Obviously, he does that still because he's a single man. But he really wants to find someone like he loves. And sometimes as a single man, you fall off the wagon, and yeah, you this and that, blah blah blah, and and it happens. But that doesn't mean your character falls apart and you have to completely just be that entirely. And the way they play Barney out to just be that is really well, and the way they play his friendship with Ted to like sometimes Ted be doing that too. They play that really well because in that friendship of Ted, Barney, and Marshall, Marshall's the one where it's like, Ted, buddy, come on. How do you want to find the love of your life when you're out there humming around getting bitches? You know what I mean? You need to find that one girl that you love and you want to get like like marry and everything and have kids with. Like that's what you want. That's what you need to do. Stop doing all these bad things. You know what I mean? And it's like a way to like settle him down, and I love that so much as well. And then Robin, the character. Oh my goodness, Robin is a mess. I just gonna flat out say it. I'm not gonna spoil anything to do with Robin, just because you have to watch it to for me to actually get into it, because it's a lot of surprises, a lot of twists, and a lot of turns. And for me, I was very surprised by a lot of it. But I'll say this: if you like sitcoms, watch the show. The characters have an amazing dynamic together. They all play really well. Season 9 is probably the worst season, but not in terms of like, oh, it was bad, it wasn't funny, or blah blah blah. It was just scheduling issues, and I don't want to spoil what that means. But like it's worth the watch. You know what I mean? Season 9 does wrap everything up nice and warm, I guess you could say, and really enjoyable. And what's it called? And the ending is very controversial. After watching the ending, I can see why it's controversial, but I like the ending. I personally like the ending because it's not a matter of like anything bad really happened or anything, this and that. Because like I don't want to spoil what happens. I really don't. But I really enjoyed it. I can see why it's controversial and why a lot of people won't like it or maybe not like it. But trust me, it's worth the watch. Honestly, it is worth the watch. It took me like 2.5 months to watch it, not even consecutively. But give it some time and you'll enjoy it. So yeah, take care, and I hope you enjoy.